Hallelujah! It's finally mid-April. Summer is right around the corner, and most importantly, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. But with the playoffs beginning means the regular season has drawn to a close, and we can look back and act like we always thought the Sacramento Kings were going to be the third seed. But while the Kings are definitely the biggest overachievers of this NBA season, who were the biggest disappointments? Before we get into the video though, if you haven't already, make sure you leave a like on the video, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. Number 10, the Portland Trail Blazers. Oh, Look, I don't think anyone was expecting the world from the Blazers this year. I sure as hell wasn't. But I was at least expecting us to make the play-in tournament, especially when we started the season 10-4. I mean, we had the best record in the Western Conference for a hot second. With that great start, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves. We were thinking, top 6 maybe, but as long as we make the play-in game, that's fine. That works. Is that really too much to ask? Yes, apparently it was. After that hot start, it was all downhill. Basically, every rotation player outside of Shaedon Sharpe and Drew Eubanks missed significant time with injuries. And once teams had a few months to figure out how to beat our zone, we reverted right back to being one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And now Dame's talking about how he doesn't want to be on a rebuilding team, and if that's what the Blazers are, then he has a decision to make. Gonna be a stressful offseason. Number 9, the Miami Heat. The Heat have been doing this weird thing for the past 4 seasons. They have a great year where they exceed all expectations before massively disappointing the next year. In 2020, they made the finals out of nowhere as a 5 seed and took a far superior Lakers team to 6. Then in 2021, they followed that up by getting the 6th seed and getting swept by Milwaukee in the first round. You know, the team they had just beaten in the conference semis the year prior. Then again, out of nowhere in 2022, they get the top seed in the East and they take the Celtics to 7 in the conference finals. And now this year, they're all the way down to the 8th seed after the play-in tournament. So if the pattern holds, the Heat are going to be a top 3 seed in the East next year. In all seriousness, the Heat are in a weird spot. Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry aren't getting any younger. Yet they have guys like Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo who are right in the middle of their primes. Do the Heat go all in with that younger core, or do they maybe move someone like Hero to get another star who could help them win now? Don't know, but if they keep playing like they did this past year, about Riley gonna make some moves. Now the Heat did win game 1 in Milwaukee, so that's a good start, but let's see if they can keep it up when Giannis comes back. Number 8, the Golden State Warriors. So this entry more than any other has potential to age real poorly, but if we're looking at just the regular season, kind of hard to argue the Warriors haven't disappointed. Coming off their 4th championship in 8 years, they were widely expected to be right back at the top of the Western Conference. Instead, just before the season started, Draymond did what I think almost every person on earth has considered doing at one point and punched Jordan Poole. Surprisingly enough, with a major incident between teammates looming over them, the Warriors got off to a horrible start, which they really never fully recovered from. At home, they were still great, but on the road, they were god-awful. Their offense was slightly above average at best, and their defense wasn't great, especially on the road, where it was downright awful. Steph missed significant time with a shoulder injury, and it just felt like the Warriors were never able to build positive momentum this season. Like I said, this one's got potential to age like milk, because Andrew Wiggins and Gary Payton are back, which is going to help them on defense. And as long as they got Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they got a chance against anyone. Number 7, the Atlanta Hawks. If you wanted the most mid team in the NBA this year, it's the Atlanta Hawks. They went 41-41, can't get more average than that. And fun fact, from January 4th to April 4th, a full 3 months of the season, the Hawks never had a winning or losing streak longer than 2 games. Kinda weird to remember that this team was in the Eastern Conference Finals only 2 years ago. And hopes were definitely high this year when they shipped out 3 first-round picks to pair Spurs All-Star DeJounte Murray with Trae Young. Well, the fact that they were just kind of average the whole year got Nate McMillan fired and replaced with Quinn Snyder. That didn't really help, and the Hawks just kind of limped into the play-in tournament. They got a pretty impressive win over Miami in the play-in tournament, and it remains to be seen how they fare against the Celtics, although I'm watching game 1 right now and it's not looking good. But a lot of that has been overshadowed by rumors that the Hawks might be willing to trade Trae Young this offseason. First of all, what kind of package are you going to get back for him? He's an undersized, inefficient scoring guard who's a huge liability on defense. Secondly, why the is this leaking before the playoffs? Number 6, Zion Williamson. The first player to be on this list, and I know we just made a Zion video literally last Monday, so I'll keep it brief. Zion is a great player, and the Pelicans are a really good team when Zion plays, and Zion just doesn't play. When he's active, there are few guys I'd rather watch. Watching this guy attack the rim and play bully ball is awesome. I just don't get many opportunities. And the Pelicans without Zion are at best a play-in team, and as we saw this week, one that couldn't even beat the Thunder at home. And since that loss, Zion's situation has only gotten more confusing. It was already confusing enough that a hamstring strain had kept this guy out for over 4 months, but in his exit interview, Zion said that he was physically fine to return to the court, but that he would return, quote, when I feel like Zion. What the fuck does that mean? Now, I want to be careful, because if Zion isn't mentally ready to play, then he shouldn't play. But statements like these are inching us closer to 2021 Ben Simmons territory. But it gets even weirder because a few days later, David Griffin comes out and says that Zion isn't even cleared for 5-on-5 basketball yet. So the player says it's mental, but the VP says he still hasn't been cleared by the team. Whatever the case is, Zion, I just hope you get well soon. Or feel like yourself again. I don't know. I just want to see you back on the court, man. Number 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last year's Timberwolves weren't amazing by any means, but they did win 46 games. They picked up a championship after beating the Clippers in the play-in game, and they took the second-seeded Grizzlies to a respectable 6 games. And hey, for a team where 7 of your top 8 scorers are 26 or younger, that's fine. You get some playoff experience under your belt, maybe add a piece in the offseason, and come back even stronger next year. Well, the Timberwolves did add a piece, picking up Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz. To get Gobert, they gave up Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, and Jared Vanderbilt. All right, 3 rotation players, but nothing too crazy. And the draft rights to Walker Kessler. Okay, he's got potential, but Gobert is already a great defender. And a pick swap in 2026. All right, at least they didn't give up a first rounder. And their 2023 first round pick. All right, well, just giving up one, that's fine. And their 2025 first round pick. Okay. And their 2027 first round pick.
What?
And their 2029 first round pick.
Why?
To recap, the Wolves sent out 3 rotation players, the potential runner-up for Rookie of the Year, and 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. That's an overpay only topped by Elon Musk buying Twitter. And what did the Wolves get for making this trade? Well, they regressed to 42-40, Cat missed 50-plus games with an injury, they shipped out D'Lo at midseason, and even with Gobert, their defensive rating got worse compared to last year. Sure, they still made the playoffs, and if they beat Denver, I'll look like an idiot, but when you send out that many assets in a trade, you expect to have a better record, not a worse one. Number 4, the LA Clippers. Look, I'll stop ragging on the Clippers when they stop giving me reasons to. So I'm never gonna stop. Seriously though, I think my feelings on the Clippers can be accurately summed up in the following clip.
Well, we're waiting.
I've been waiting really since 2011 for a Clippers team to finally deliver on their hype. The Lob City teams never broke through and delivered on their potential, and the first 3 years of the Kawhi PG era have been one bust after another. And this year is no different. The Clippers were once again one of the preseason favorites to win the Western Conference. They got their 2 superstars, a solid supporting cast, and a great coach. And like clockwork, they disappoint. Kawhi and PG again missed big chunks of the season with injury. Their point guard position has pinballed from John Wall to Terrence Mann to Russell Westbrook, and they fucked up big time by getting the 5th seed, meaning they get KD and the Suns in the first round instead of the much less threatening Kings. Then again, they did win Game 1 in Phoenix, so maybe they don't deserve to get ragged on this time. Nah. Number 3, the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, when you start the season with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on your roster and you finish the season with neither on the roster, that's not great. They got off to a horrible 1-5 start, but in November, they seemingly turned it around and rattled off a 12-game winning streak to rise as high as 2nd in the Eastern Conference. But in early February, after talks on a new contract broke down, Kyrie Irving requested a trade. He got his wish 2 days later, being dealt to Dallas, and KD was sent to Phoenix only 3 days after that. The only thing keeping the Nets from being higher on this list is that they didn't completely fall off a cliff after the trades. Mikal Bridges broke out in a huge way, averaging 26 points since the trade, and their record at midseason meant the Nets were able to hold on to their playoff spot. Bridges is a huge bright spot for the Nets going forward, but considering what they started the season with, can't help but be disappointed. But the Nets ditching KD and Kyrie at midseason wasn't the biggest disappointment with that organization. That would be Number 2, Ben Simmons. Yep, he gets his own entry. Oh, Brooklyn, you traded away James Harden and you got back maybe the worst contract in NBA history. Ben Simmons is just frustrating at this point more than anything else. Like, if you were to build a perfect athlete for the NBA, you'd build Giannis first, and then you'd probably build Ben Simmons. Seriously, this guy has got all the physical tools. He's 6'10", he's long, he's agile, he can run, and he's done almost nothing with those God-given gifts. The fact that after 5 years, he still hasn't developed any semblance of a jump shot is inexcusable. But what's even worse than not being able to shoot is being too scared to shoot.
drops it off. Simmons.
And like I said, that contract, the Nets still owe him $77 million over the next 2 seasons, which good luck getting anyone else in the league to take that. I'm just annoyed personally too, because I always liked Ben Simmons. I actually wanted the Blazers to trade for him in 2021. But at this point, I'm just done with the guy. Also, he robbed us of the chance to see him play in Philly as a playoff opponent, and I'll never forgive him for that. And number 1, the Dallas Mavericks. Was really tempted to put Ben Simmons at number 1 here, but I decided against it because while Ben's certainly disappointed, expectations for him were not particularly high. He was coming off having not played an entire season, and the last time he did play, he had the worst moment of his career. The Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, were coming off an appearance in the Western Conference Finals, where they were only bounced by the eventual champion Warriors. Alright, no shame in that. It's only their 3rd playoff appearance with Luka, and their first year under Jason Kidd, so just build on that and make another run next year. Well, this year never really went right for Dallas. They let Jalen Brunson walk in the offseason, which in hindsight was a massive mistake. They hung right around 3 to 4 games above 500 for most of the year, which was a little disappointing, but at the same time, half the West was right around 500, so really it wasn't that big a deal. At the trade deadline, though, they decided to make a big splash, and they traded Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a first-round pick for Kyrie Irving. Turns out, pairing Luka, a high-volume scorer who doesn't play defense, with Kyrie, another high-volume scorer who doesn't play defense, was a bad idea. Who would have fucking thought? The Mavs crashed and burned after the Kyrie trade. Their offense took a noticeable step forward, but their defense fell off a cliff. They dropped from the 4th seed all the way to the 11th seed, missing the play-in tournament entirely and catching a $750,000 fine after tanking their last game against the Bulls. What a difference a year makes. That's the video, guys. What do you think was the biggest disappointment of this NBA season? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you haven't already, make sure you leave the video a like, as it really does help us out. And hey, while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.